We're going to be covering the top 9 things you can implement right now to get more customers, to close more deals, and to make more money. If you're not doing these things right now, it's probably costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars. You want to buckle up, you want to get out your notes, and you want to pay attention because this is a game changer. If you don't know me, my name is Sam Martin, the guy who went from being an awkward homeschool farm boy to making over $364,000 a year without a college degree or starting a business. And now I run winnercircletraining.com, where we help people level up their skills, make more money, and build financial freedom through sales. Tip number 1 is to listen to your customer. Now, this might sound simple, this might sound easy, but it's actually really difficult, and a lot of people don't do it very well, or they just don't do it at all. When you're present with your customer in your conversations, when you're looking at feedback forms, when you're listening for their actual pain points, their actual concerns, their actual goals, you are going to resonate with that customer in such a deeper, more authentic way than everybody else. Most people are just trying to get customers by presenting and blabbing about all their amazing features and products. But the reality is customers only want things that can solve their specific problems and their specific needs. So when you're listening to the customer, that's when you get all the ammo of how to actually present what you have and customize your solution and the benefits that it will bring to the specific person. But you won't know what benefits they need, and you won't know what makes sense to them unless you are actually listening in the first place. Tip number 2 is to build rapport. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. It starts with the relationship. What you want to do in the sales process, you want to actually focus on building that relationship in a genuine way. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be best buds, but you actually have to genuinely be interested in the person and caring about them and present like a friend would do, right? So you want to build rapport, you want to build that relationship, because that is what will carry the deal through. And that is what will lead them to give you more referrals and more business. And that is really the essence, the core fundamental foundation that everything else is built on. Tip number 3 is to be confident. And I would even go above this and say to have absolute certainty, right? People don't have to believe what you're saying. They just need to know that you believe what you're saying. And if you don't believe in the product that you have, in the service that you're providing, or what you're actually doing to help people, then other people are going to feel that and they're not going to believe it either. So you have to have the confidence, you have to have the certainty in yourself, in your product, in your company, in your mission, whatever it is that you're promoting. And then you have to transfer that certainty to your prospect. But they're not going to get it if you don't have it. Tip number 4 is to use iterative practice. So when you come up with your script, or when you come up with your process, or whatever it is, you want to practice that process and get it really dialed in. But then you also want to implement different changes and tweaks and tests to see which is actually the best method, because that's how you actually get really, really good at closing, at objection handling, at closing more deals, at the sales process, is testing different things, iterating until you have the absolute best method possible. But you're not going to know that unless you actually A, practice, and B, iterate on your practice, on your scripts, on your processes, and really refine that down. Tip number 5 is to expect and own objections, right? So there's 2 things here. Number 1 is most people just kind of treat objections like, oh, I hope it doesn't show up, right? I'm just going to dance around and hopefully like it's a lay down sale. That is not a good way to go about it. Every single time you have an interaction with a customer, when it comes time to close a deal, when it comes time to give the money, sign the contract, commit to the next steps, whatever it is, that's when the objections are going to come up. And you want to be expecting the objections to come up. You don't want to be hiding from them and hoping that they're not going to come, because 99% of the time they will. And then you want to master and own those objections. So you need to know what your customers are going to have concerns about. How do you get this? A, listening to your customer, right? And B, practicing and iterating. Keep track of your objections. One of the top things that I like to do and I teach my students is to keep an objection tracker. So every time you get an objection, you write it down or you keep it on your list. And then every sequence or every time you get that same objection, you add a number to that objection, and then you keep track. And then you can see, okay, these are the 3 or 5 or 10 objections that I'm getting, but I really get, these top 3 objections the most. And you just focus on honing in and refining your handling process for that objection. It just makes it a lot easier to be able to focus. But you need to expect the objections to come, and you need to master handling them, because they will come almost every single time. Number 6 is to create a follow-up system. Everybody knows follow-up is critical. You absolutely have to do it. And most times it's going to take several follow-ups to get a deal done, depending on the sales cycle, depending on the process, etc. What you want to do is not just know that follow-up is important. You actually want to build a system that allows you to systematically follow up with your people, whether that's a good sequence in your CRM, whether that's a process that you built manually for yourself. If I send out the contract, I'm going to follow up this day, and this day at that time, and you run the same process over and over again until you master the perfect follow-up process. But follow-up is critical. Don't sleep on this. Tip number 7 is is to over deliver value. Whatever it is that they're going to be expecting from you, deliver more. And if you deliver more value, they're going to be more likely to buy from you. And there's a thing called reciprocity, which means when you give something to someone, they feel more so convicted to give something back to you. So if you're coming with value to your prospects, to your interactions, they're going to be more likely to want to go with you because one, a lot of times you're going to be building authority and trust in the fact that you have the insights, the knowledge, the value to give. And then B, they're like, hey, they gave me something, I want to go with them, right? So that's super critical. Make sure you're paying attention to that. Number 8 is to be adaptable. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a sales rep go through a sales process and just follow the questions, answer them one by one, just like it's written in the script. And the customer is saying things that are like totally off the wall and crazy or don't even make sense to the process, but they just keep going, right? And the reality is your sales process is never going to be as good as what the customer is telling you. So whatever question is in your script, ask the question that makes sense based on what the prospect is telling you. If the customer is in a little bit of a different situation, don't just follow the standard cookie cutter process when people aren't cookie cutter. They're different, they're unique. So make sure you're listening to the customer. And number 8, you're being adaptable to what they need going through that process. And lastly, number 9 is be relentless. Now, sales is a challenging game, right? It's a challenging career. There's a lot of obstacles to come. You're faced with a lot of objections, a lot of challenges, and sometimes some freaking crazy people. That's all cool though, because when you learn how to be relentless and when you build the fundamentals that you need to be successful, where you're caring about people, you're over delivering value, and you're disciplined in your actions, you're showing up with the right attitude and the right perspective every single day. Yes, you will have some times that are hard, but from a large majority, you're gonna have good conversations, you're gonna have good interactions, and that goodwill that you're putting out is gonna come back to you because you're sticking to the true principles and you're relentless in the face of adversity. So that's what I got for you guys in today's video. These are 9 things that if you do them, and if you do them well, will set you apart in the sales game because so many people sleep on these. I hope you got some value from this. Go ahead and smash the like button, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you like, what you didn't like. Remember, don't just listen, implement.